Okay, so this is the act that we will discuss now. Yesterday we completed till Forest Conservation Act 1980. This is the next act, Environment Protection Act 1986. Go to that section in your printout. Before going into detail of it, let's understand the history behind this act. Okay, so history behind this act is that in 1980, India established Department of Environment. So there was no ministry, there was a department, a very small department, just a formality. And this department was part of Ministry of Agriculture. But in 1984, a very big disaster happened in India. Bhopal gas disaster. It was a very big disaster and there were many casualties. But Bhopal disaster was an industrial disaster. And this was a very big disaster. So when this disaster happened, Bhopal gas tragedy, so the people who were responsible for it, the organization who was responsible for it, they were caught by the police, put in jail. But within a very short span of time, they got the bail and they ran away from the country. So that means the people who were responsible for this were never caught. They ran away from the country. India tried extradition many times, but India was not successful. Why it was very easy for them to run away from the country? Because there was no act in the country. How you will punish someone if you don't have any act? So the people who are responsible for this big disaster were never punished because it was very easy for them to go away from the country. You don't have any act. First of all, you don't have any ministry. How will you catch someone? How will you punish someone? How will you put them in the jail? So this disaster, India realized that first of all, we need a ministry of environment, which can deal with such cases. So this department was upgraded to Ministry of Environment. And very next year, this act came. So if you follow the chronology, you will understand the logic behind this act. This act came into existence due to a industrial disaster. And that was a very big industrial disaster that happened in India. So that means this act deals with industrial disaster. If you understand the history, you will understand the purpose also. This act came into existence because of an industrial disaster. So this act will deal with industrial disaster. What it will deal with? If a person or organization who is responsible for industrial disasters, what punishment should be given to them? Okay, they should not escape from the law. If a person is responsible for industrial disaster, if a company is responsible for industrial disaster, what punishment should be given to them? Few years back, Visakhapatnam styrene gas leak happened, casualties happened. It was an industrial disaster. So the people who were responsible for Visakhapatnam gas leak, it was an industrial disaster. Under what act the punishment was given to them? Under this act. Because this act deals with such cases. The person who is responsible, whether deliberately or whether by mistake, what punishment, whether jail term, whether fine, should be given to that individual or should be given to that company. So this act deals with industrial disaster. This is the first purpose. If you understand the history, you will understand most of its provisions. Yeah, you can copy this. It's not given in your books. What is the history behind this act? Just copy here itself. and read the first 3 lines. After you copy, read the first 3 lines. Read the first 3 lines. So you can see that it came into existence after Bhopal gas tragedy. But what are other provisions of this act? Let's see. Okay. First, industrial disaster we took, that this talks about industrial disasters. Second provision under this act, eco-sensitive zones are declared. Eco-sensitive zones means no development zone. So eco-sensitive zones are declared under this act. So eco-sensitive zone, if you declare anywhere, what it means? It means it is a no development zone. Activities like mining or industries are not allowed. In eco-sensitive zone, no development work will take place. No mining, no industries, no construction. Certain activities like renewable energy projects or afforestation can be allowed. Those activities which are environment friendly, they can be allowed. So eco-sensitive zones are declared under which act? Which act you are studying? Environment Protection Act. So this is the second provision. Now read the second paragraph. Large scale industries. Any industry which will cause damage to the environment, polluting industries. At up to some level, yes. If they are in resonance with the nature, their activities are not polluting. Second paragraph. So we are clear on two provisions of the act: industrial disaster and eco-sensitive zones. Let's see something else about this act. There are two organizations in our country. Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board, CPCB and SPCB. So you can see from the name itself what they will do. Pollution Control Board. So they will make rules related to emissions, related to pollutions. How much emission industry can do. So the people who work here need to control the industries in their area. You go into service, you might work here. So the people who work here have got some authority, have got some power. They can do inspection of the industries. They can do audit of the industries. And if they see that industries are breaking the rule, they can take strict action against the industry. They can even close the industries. So these organizations have got certain power, certain authority to control what? To control pollution. Pollution Control Board. But from where they get this authority? Which act gives them this authority or power? Which act you are studying? Environment Protection Act. Both of these organizations, they work under or they come under Environment Protection Act. They derive their power from Environment Protection Act. So this is the third provision. Fourth, genetically modified crops, GM crops, is the fourth provision under this act. Genetically modified crops. For example, BT cotton, BT. BT stands for Bacillus thuringiensis. It is the full form of BT. What is Bacillus thuringiensis? It means a pest-resistant bacteria. So try to understand. In a crop of cotton, natural crop of cotton, if we add this bacteria, in a natural crop of cotton, if we add this bacteria strain, the crop will become BT cotton. So we have done some modification. So it is known as genetically modified crop because we have modified it. We have added something from our side. In the natural crop of cotton, we have added BT strain, या फिर bacteria we have added from our side. So our crop becomes BT cotton. Now this bacteria, BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, it is pest resistant. So if we add this bacteria in BT cotton, automatically our crop will become pest resistant. So if you are growing BT cotton in farmland, you need not to use pesticides because this is already pest resistant. So this is the benefit of GM crop. But who gives the permission in India to cultivate GM crops? You cannot cultivate them directly. Permission needs to come. For example, permission for BT cotton is given in India, that farmers can grow BT cotton. This permission is given. But who gives this permission? This permission is given by GEAC. So all the matters related to GM crops, they come under which organization? GEAC. So whenever you are reading a news about GM crops, you will find their name, GEAC. But under which act GEAC comes? Which act you are studying? EPA. So this is the fourth provision, that GEAC comes under this act. And GEAC is responsible for decisions related to GM crops. Okay. Now read the third paragraph. Okay. So GEAC, what full form is given? Engineering Appraisal Committee. Under which act it comes? It comes under EPA. So 4 provisions you have seen. Write down a question. What are GM crops? What are GM crops? And what are their advantages and disadvantages? And what are their advantages and disadvantages? 150 words. Okay. Now, one more provision under this act. 4 provisions we have seen. EIA, Environment Impact Assessment. Environment Impact Assessment is done under this act. Now, what is EIA? EIA means, see, if a development project has to be done, let's say mining, construction of highways, any development project which has to be done. And if you want to start a development project, so before that development project, you will conduct an audit. You will do a detailed audit to see that if you continue with your development project, what would be the damage to environment? You are assessing the impact before doing the project. Before doing the mining, you are assessing what would be the damage to environment if you do mining, if you continue with your development project. So for any development project, this is a compulsion, whether a private company is doing or whether government is doing. This needs to be done. Otherwise, the permission for development work will not be given. EIA is a mandatory exercise in India. It is a compulsory exercise in India. It means before any development project, you need to cross-check that if you continue with your development, what would be the damage to environment in future? So this is a detailed exercise. And if EIA shows you that damage would be of very large scale, so you try to reduce it before starting the project. You try to address that problem before starting the project. Until unless your EIA report is satisfactory, you cannot start your development project. So it is a compulsion. It is a mandatory exercise for anyone who is doing development work in India. Under what act this exercise is mandatory? Which act says that this is a compulsion? Which act you are studying? EPA. So this is 5th provision. Read this. Okay, so this covers your Environment Protection Act. We have seen the different provisions. We will move to next act now, and that is Forest Right Act 2006. So before going into details, you should understand the history behind this act. Forest Right Act, what is the history? So read the first paragraph. You will find the history behind this act, that why we came up with this act. First paragraph only. Read that. Okay, so you can see the reason, historical injustice. That historical injustice has happened to whom? To the forest dwellers, to the tribals, that rights were not given to them properly. Right allocation process was not proper. There were cases of harassment, extortion, bribery, forceful eviction. That means harassment was happening. Why harassment was happening? Because we were not giving rights to the people. So that is why a separate act was designed. Forest Rights Act, to give rights to the people. Rights to whom? Those who are dependent on forest, those who live around forest. You need to give them certain rights, otherwise their exploitation will continue. But when we talk about Forest Right Act, we should understand what type of rights can be given. In a forest, what rights can be given? 4 types of rights. Title rights. Title rights means you can give up to 4 hectare of land. 4 hectare of land can be given to an individual or a family who are living inside the forest. So what we do, we make them owner of the land, that this person is living on this land in the forest. So 4 hectare of land can be given on his name, and that person can be made owner of the land. That family can be made owner of the land. Why? Because if you make them owner of the land, then forest department cannot remove them forcefully or cannot remove them illegally. If they have to be shifted, a proper legal procedure would be followed. Now suppose a family is living in the forest since generation. Okay, there is a community, there is a village living in the forest. Very next day, forest department can ask them to leave because they don't have rights. Land does not belong to them. They cannot prove this in the court. So if you make them owner of the land, then forest department cannot forcefully remove them or forcefully shift them. So this is about ownership, giving title rights up to how much? 4 hectare of the land. Second is usage rights. Allowing the usage of forest products, that you allow someone to go inside the forest to collect medicinal plants. You allow someone to go inside the forest, take his animal for grazing. You are allowing someone to go inside the forest and collect fuel wood. So you are allowing usage of the forest. That person can take forest products for his usage. So two rights, title rights, usage rights. There are two more, but first read about them. Title rights and usage rights. Okay, let's see two more. Third is relief rights. Relief rights is about providing basic amenities to the people. When it will work? You have studied about national parks. In national park, there is a core zone. And you have studied that in a core zone, no villages. No villages allowed. Suppose there is a national park. And in the core zone of a national park, there is a village. So you have to shift it. You have to relocate the village outside the core zone. You will shift them elsewhere. That is what the Supreme Court judgment says. No villages in any of the core area of India's national park. If there is any village, shift them. Core area, no human interference. So that means if there is a national park and in that in the core area, there is a village. So you have to shift them. You have to relocate them. So when you are relocating them, you're asking them to leave their home, you're shifting them elsewhere. So if you are relocating them, then basic amenities has to be provided. Wherever you are shifting them, certain basic amenities should be provided, like primary school, electricity connection, primary health center, because you are asking them to leave their home and shift somewhere else. So at that new place, this right has to be given to them, basic amenities. Read about this. Then the last right, forest management right. How it works. Suppose there is a forest area. In this forest area, in one particular portion of it, lives a tribe. Lives a tribe or a community. And this tribe is living in this forest since generations, since quite a long time. They are living here. And these people are conserving the forest where they live. They are protecting the forest where they are living. Since generations they are doing. They are conserving the species, they are managing the forest. So if you see this, or if forest department is of view that these people can manage the forest very well, they are doing this since hundreds of years. So let them manage. Give them management rights because they are already doing it. So forest department will not interfere much. Yes, they will control, but they will not interfere much in their management. The way they are managing these people, they are managing the forest, they will be allowed to do so. So that means management rights would be given to the people. The people who are living in the forest, how they manage the forest, how they utilize the resources. So this is fourth type of right, management rights. It is given when the people are already managing the forest. They are doing this very well. So why to interfere? Read that. Complete this right. So are you clear on four types of rights which are given to the people? Okay. Turn the page. Let's understand who is eligible for the rights. Eligibility, 2 bullet points are given. First, member of scheduled tribes of that area are eligible. But for other categories, what is the criteria? For other categories, the criteria is that they should be residing in that area since 75 years. They should be a local of that area. They should be a resident of that area. So these is the eligibility criteria to identify the beneficiaries. How the right allocation works, process. How rights are given to the people. The very first step is from Gram Sabha. In the meeting of Gram Sabha, a resolution would be discussed. And in this resolution, 2 points would be discussed. To whom the rights has to be given? What type of rights has to be given? To whom? Because only your people can tell whether you are living in this area since last 75 years or not. Your neighbors will identify whether you are a resident of this area or not. So in Gram Sabha's meeting, people will decide whether you are a resident of this area or not, whether your family belongs to this area or not. So who is eligible? So eligibility would be decided by the Gram Sabha, the people themselves. Later government will cross check, but first your people will decide. So who is eligible? Second, what type of rights you want? There are 4 types of rights. What is your demand from the government? So this resolution will have discussion on this. Who is eligible? What type of rights you want? And during this discussion, 3 representatives from the government should be present. 3 representatives from the government should be present in this meeting. Any person from forest department? Any person from revenue department? And any person from tribal welfare department. So 3 persons from government should be present in this meeting. Then only the discussion would be done. Suppose discussion is done and Gram Sabha passes this resolution. They passes this resolution. Okay. So it will go to next level. It will go to next level, that is Tehsil level or block level. Here, resolution which was passed by Gram Sabha, its audit would be done. Paperwork, cross-checking of the claims, all the audit would be done. Audit would be done by Panchayat Samiti. And then the final decision of SDM would be taken. Whether to pass the resolution, whether to give rights to the people, or whether to deny. SDM will take the decision. Should rights be given or not? Is this whole process okay or not? SDM will decide. Now suppose SDM passes it, that rights can be given to the people. So it will go to next level. Approval, it will go to next level, that is district level. At district level, but now audit would be done by Jilla Parishad. So Jilla Parishad will do the paperwork, will do the audit. And after Jilla Parishad's audit, the final decision will be of final decision would be taken by DM of that area, whether to give the rights or whether to deny the rights. How much time rights has to be given, in what area rights has to be given. So all this decision would be taken by DM of that area. So in the first class, I told you that a DM is responsible for forest rights. He takes the decision whether to give the rights, whether to deny. So if you are going into service and you are getting posted in an area where there is a good forest cover, so on daily basis or on very regular basis, applications would be coming to your office related to this Forest Rights Act, that people living in your area are demanding forest rights from you. So how much you know about this act right now to clear the exam is important, but how much you know about this act after clearing the exam is even more important, because you getting into service is responsible to implement this act. And this is a sensitive matter. You make an error in this, there would be social problems. Suppose a file came to your office, you are posted in a forest area where there is a good forest cover, file come to your office that there is a group of 100 families who are demanding title rights from you. Each one wants 4 hectares in the forest. You give 4 hectares of land to all of them. 400 hectares you approved in the forest. So you have given 400 hectares in the forest. After your decision, after some time you realize that the place where you have given the land is a home of critically endangered species. So basically what you have done, you have destroyed the home of a critically endangered species just by your one decision. Okay. Because you don't know what is critically endangered, you don't know what is the habitat of critically endangered, you don't know what is the reserved area in your reserve forest in your area, what is protected forest in your area, where the right should be given, where the right should not be given, what is core area, buffer area, transition area. You don't have information about that. So that is why this matter is little bit sensitive from both the sides, from people's perspective, from environment's perspective. And you should be having a good knowledge about this act, how to implement it when you get into services. Read about it. Okay. Done with this Forest Right Act, understood the process. Move to the next act then. National Green Tribunal Act 2010. National Green Tribunal Act came in 2010, and this act established NGT in India. So National Green Tribunal was established. Objective, it is a judicial body. Objective is to give speedy environmental justice to the people. To the people of India, environmental justice should be provided within time. Why? Because before 2010, when there was no NGT, before 2010, what used to happen? Environment cases were heard in civil court. So civil court used to do hearing of the environment cases. But what is the problem with civil courts in India? Heavy pendency. You file a case, it will go for 4 or 5 years. That is the burden on courts right now. So much pendency. So suppose you file an environment case in a civil court, that case will go on for 4 or 5 years. So you have already lost the case because you need immediate relief. In environment cases, you need immediate relief within days, within weeks. Courts cannot give you that. because they are highly overburdened. Suppose in your residential area, someone starts a industry, someone starts a small industry in your area, the place where you are living. That industry is creating pollution. That industry is creating noise. Your life is disturbed. You file a case in civil court, but there is no use. Your case will go for at least 4 or 5 years. That industry will operate. So you have already lost the case. What you want? Immediate relief. Within days, within weeks. So that is why NGT was established. So now, after 2010, environment cases don't go to civil court, they are heard by NGT. Okay? They are heard by NGT. So it has served two purposes. First, the burden on courts have reduced. Now environment cases don't go to courts, they go to NGT. So the burden on courts have reduced. Second benefit, India is getting environment justice. Speedy environment justice is coming up. If you are regular in newspaper reading, you will find news of NGT on regular basis. That what NGT has done, what decision NGT has taken. So they have taken some good decisions with respect to environment in India. So the objective why they were established, they are serving it. They are serving it. They are giving environment justice to people of India. Okay. So that is the logic. NGT's principal bench is in Delhi. NGT is in Delhi. It do have regional branches. It do have regional branches, but the main place is in Delhi. In Delhi, there are 10 benches or courtrooms. NGT has 10 benches or 10 courtrooms. It means 10 cases can go on parallelly. Hearing of 10 cases can go on parallelly in the building of NGT. There are 10 courtrooms. In one bench, hearing is done by 2 judges. Okay. So hearing in NGT is done by 2 judges. One bench will have 2 judges. So how many judges will be there in NGT? 20 judges. Total 20 judges would be there. Because it has 10 benches. One bench has 2 judges. So these 2 judges, from where they are taken? First judge, taken from any of the High Court of India or Supreme Court of India. So first judge is taken from judiciary, any of the High Courts of India or Supreme Court. Second judge is taken from these services. IAS, Indian Forest Service, Indian Foreign Service. So any bureaucrat having a significant experience can be appointed as a judge in NGT directly. Or a person having this qualification if someone has this qualification, master's, PhD, and a 15-year work experience in the field of environment, that person can be appointed as the judge also, directly appointed as a judge. So first judge is taken from judiciary, second judge either from services or either a person having this educational background. So hearing is done by both of them. Read about it, NGT. So after NGT's decision, where the hearing would be done? Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the only place where you can go after NGT's decision. Okay then. Done with the reading? India was the third country of the world to have a green tribunal, because before India, two countries already have, New Zealand and Australia. So India was the third country. So we are done with the acts of our country, acts related to environment protection. But there is one act which is not given. So take out your notebook and write Wildlife Protection Act. Wildlife Protection Act. 1972. Wildlife Protection Act. 1972. Objective of the act is conservation of wild animals, birds and plants. Conservation of wild animals, birds and plants. And to control illegal activities. And to control illegal activities of hunting, smuggling and poaching. Hunting, smuggling and poaching. Full stop. Next point. All the protected areas of India are declared under this act. Full stop. Next point. National Tiger Conservation Authority, NTCA, and Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, WCCB, were formed under this act. Next point. This act provides protection to the species. This act provides protection to the species under 4 schedules. Read this, what you have written. So how many schedules are there under this act? 4 schedules. Species are given protection in 4 schedules. So now you have to write about them. So write first bullet point, Schedule 1. Consists of those species to whom maximum protection is provided. Full stop. Any person involved in their hunting and smuggling will get maximum punishment. Okay, what you have written? You have written that Schedule 1 consists of those species to whom maximum protection is provided. Anyone who is hunting these species will have to face maximum punishment. So maximum protection is given to these species. So Schedule 1, for example, tiger. So any person who is hunting a tiger, smuggling its body part, so maximum punishment would be given to that person, because tiger is a Schedule 1 species in India. Tiger, lions, elephants, they all are Schedule 1. Write down. Example, tiger, lion, and elephants. Now write the second bullet point. Schedule 2. Consists of those species to whom less degree of protection is provided. Less degree of protection is provided, full stop. Hunting or smuggling them carries less degree of punishment. Example, blue bull or nilgai. Jackals, 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 and spotted deer. Okay. So Schedule 1, maximum protection. Schedule 2, relatively less protection. Write down Schedule 3. Consist of only wild plants. For whom prior permission is needed. For cultivation and harvesting. Example, blue vendor, red vendor, and pitcher plant. So what you have written, schedule 3 will only have plants, wild plants. And you need permission. Permission for what? To take them out from the forest. You want to remove them from the forest, extract them, you need permission from the forest department. But obvious. But secondary thing, you also need permission for their cultivation also. You cannot grow them in your private land. You cannot grow them in your farmland. One or two plant no one is seeing. But you want to do large scale cultivation, you need prior permission from the forest department. What you have written? Schedule 3, those plants to whom prior permission is needed. Prior permission for what? Cultivation and harvesting. For both you need the permission. So schedule 3 is for wild plants. Write down schedule 4. Consist of those species which are mentioned in the International Convention of CITES, which are mentioned in the International Convention of CITES. Write down the full form of CITES. Convention on International Trade. Convention on International Trade in the endangered species. In the endangered species of wild fauna and flora. Wild fauna and flora. So those species which are mentioned in CITES comes under Schedule 4. We will discuss about CITES when we will discuss international conventions. But now CITES has become part of India's Act. It is an international convention, but it is part of India's Act now. It is part of Schedule 4. Now read these schedules again. The bullet points that you have written, what these schedules mean. Four schedules. Okay. So now change the para, write one more point. In none of the schedules has the mention, none of the schedules has the mention of the word, has the mention of the word vermin, 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 full stop. Vermin is a species, vermin is a species which has become, vermin is a species which has become dangerous for humans, dangerous for humans and crops, comma, vermins can be hunted, vermins can be hunted. Full stop. Example, if a tiger becomes man eater, if a tiger becomes man eater, it can be declared as a vermin, it can be declared as a vermin and can be hunted, and can be hunted. Full stop. Permission to kill, permission to kill a vermin is given only by, is given only by central government, is given only by central government. Okay. So what you have written, that none of the schedules has the mention of the word vermin. Earlier there was schedule 5 which was specifically for vermin. Now it has been removed. So no schedule has the mention of the word vermin. What is a vermin? Vermin, any species which has become dangerous. Dangerous for what? Human existence. Permission to kill a vermin can only be given by central government. Only central government can give the permission that this species is vermin and can be killed. Now before, what used to happen, state governments used to give the permission. That state governments used to declare a vermin and state government used to give the permission to kill a vermin. And it was seen all over India that state governments were taking faulty decisions. Local politics was involved in that. And they were taking faulty decisions. They were wrongfully killing the species. In Maharashtra, few years back, there was a tigress. Her name was Avni. So Avni was a tigress in Yavatmal, Maharashtra. She has 2 small cubs. But due to the influence of local politics and the people, she was declared as a vermin in a wrongful way. And then she was killed. But she had 2 small cubs which later died. If you have seen Vidya Balan's movie Sherni, it is a true story. That story is of Avni. If you have not seen that movie, you should see that movie. It is, I think it's on Amazon Prime. That whole movie is on this topic, vermin. So that movie is based on that Avni's incidences. And in that, Vidya Balan has played the role of a IFS officer. So it's a true story. You should watch. Then you will understand how big this problem is, vermin. Few years back, Telangana state government gave the power to Gram Panchayat, that Gram Panchayat can declare the vermin. Then state center intervened that you cannot do this. You don't have this authority. Only center government has the authority. Only we can declare it as a vermin. No local decision making would be involved. Okay. So now we'll move to the next topic, and in your notebooks mention international conventions, because in printout notes are not given, so you have to write down the notes. Write down international conventions on environment. International conventions on environment. Write down. They are either made by, they are either made by United Nations or IUCN. International conventions, how the question comes in your exam. Questions come from theory portion. They will ask about the history, they will ask about the purpose and different provisions. So history, I'm going to dictate it to you. The notes that you are making in the class, more than sufficient for the theory portion. But from international conventions, question also comes from their COP. COP is their meeting. So before your exam, if a meeting has happened of any of the international conventions, that becomes important for your prelims point of view. You should go through that in detail. For example, UNFCCC COP has happened, but there are many conventions, and if their COP is happening before your prelims, go through them. And how to go through them? Read what was the discussion, what was the objective, and most importantly, filter out the information, what India has said. What was India's stand in this COP? What were the decisions related to India that were made? Filter out this information. So when you complete this, this whole topic would be done. You would be able to attempt maximum of the questions from this topic. So you can segregate it into two parts. One, either the question can come from theory or either the question can come from COP. This is purely prelims based information. Prepare this topic keeping MCQs in mind. So you have written that international conventions are made by two organizations, either United Nations or either IUCN. So now write down first convention. Vienna Convention. Vienna Convention. VIENNA. Vienna Convention. Came into force in 1988. Objective is to protect ozone layer. Objective is to protect ozone layer and to eliminate ozone depleting substances. Ozone depleting substances like CFC and HCFC. CFC and HCFC, which are primarily used in cooling industry, Full stop. Change the point. ODS cause extensive damage. ODS cause extensive damage to ozone, comma, a distinct ozone hole was observed over Antarctica. Full stop. Ozone layer protects us from harmful, ozone layer protects us from harmful UV rays. Ozone layer protects us from harmful UV rays. Full stop. This convention is the first ever. This convention is the first ever international effort. First ever international effort taken for ozone conservation. Taken for ozone conservation. Full stop. Multilateral fund. Multilateral fund comes under this convention. Multilateral fund comes under this convention. Full stop. It provides financial help. It provides financial help to poor and developing countries. To poor and developing countries for eliminating ODS. For eliminating ODS. So what you have written, there is a fund under this convention. Money can be taken from this fund. Who can take the money? Poor and developing countries. For what? For replacing ODS, replacing ozone depleting substances. Okay. Write down next point. Montreal Protocol is part of this convention. And it came into force. In 1989. Okay. Full stop. It legally implements the ban on ODS. It legally implements the ban on ODS. Full stop. Both Vienna Convention and Montreal Protocol. Both Vienna Convention and Montreal Protocol are considered the most successful international agreements of United Nations. Full stop. As a result of the success of these agreements, ozone hole has reduced. And experts says that by 2050, ozone layer will recover. Ozone layer will recover. Okay. So what you have written, Vienna Convention. Objective to protect ozone layer. To ban CFC. Don't use CFC. To implement Vienna Convention, Montreal Protocol came. Objective was same. Protect ozone layer, eliminate ODS. You have written a point that both of them, Vienna Convention and Montreal Protocol, are considered most successful agreements of United Nations. Every country has signed them. Not only signed, implemented them. India has also signed them. Every UN member has signed them, implemented them. So that is why they are considered most successful. And due to their success, what you observe now, that ozone hole is getting smaller and smaller. It is a good thing. Ozone layer is recovering. And experts says that by 2050, it will completely recover. Ozone hole will shrink, which is a good sign. And why this is happening? Because of the success of Montreal Protocol. You have written 2 points. Vienna Convention, Montreal Protocol. Objective is same for both of them. Then what is the difference between convention and protocol? Okay. So right here itself, difference between convention and protocol. Difference between convention and protocol. Okay. You have written Vienna Convention, Montreal Protocol. Objective was same. Okay. See, convention is a outline of a topic. Convention will only tell you what to do. It is a outline. Protocol are the detailed rules. Protocol are the detailed rules of the topic. They will tell you how to do. Convention just outline that you have to do this. But what rules needs to be followed is given in protocol. Protocol will contain all the details. Convention not legally binding. Protocol is legally binding. Okay, right now. Convention is a broad outline. Convention is a broad outline of a topic and tells what to do. And tells what to do. While protocol are the detailed rules. Protocol are the detailed rules of the topic, and they tell how to do. Full stop. Protocol is legally binding. Protocol is legally binding, but convention is not. Protocol is legally binding, but convention is not. Full stop. Now write down next point. COP of Vienna Convention. COP of Vienna Convention and Montreal Protocol. Vienna Convention and Montreal Protocol happens once in 3 years. Once in 3 years. Okay. So that is why I'm saying that if this COP is happening before your exam, if their COP is happening before your prelims, read about the details, what they discussed. Write down next. Write down an assignment first. Write down an assignment. Read about Kigali Agreement. Read about Kigali agreement. Now write down the name of next convention. Ramsar Convention. It was signed on 2nd February. It was signed on 2nd February 1971 in the city of Ramsar. In the city of Ramsar, Iran. In the city of Ramsar, Iran. Full stop. Objective is to protect the wetlands. Objective is to protect the wetlands and control all the activities which can cause damage to wetlands. So what is the objective of this convention? Protect wetlands. Conserving wetlands. Change the point. On which date it was signed? 2nd February. So write down. Next point. 2nd February is observed as World Wetland Day. 2nd February is observed as World Wetland Day every year. Full stop. Next. Wetland offers numerous benefits as they are home of biodiversity, provide livelihood to fishermen, plays an important role in water cycle, and are a source of water for drinking and irrigation, So they need to be protected. Full stop. So you have written the importance, why wetlands are important. They give us water. They are home of biodiversity, migratory species. They are part of water cycle. Many important functions they have. Write down next point. Wetlands are threatened by anthropogenic activities. Wetlands are threatened by anthropogenic activities like dumping of waste, encroachment, unsustainable fishing, and release of wastewater hence their health health is showing a deterioration, deterioration. Their health is showing a deterioration all over the world. Deterioration all over the world. Full stop. Next point. Wetland which is part of this convention, wetland which is part of this convention is considered as wetland of international importance. Is considered as wetland of international importance. Okay. You have written a point that if a wetland is declared as Ramsar wetland, what it means? It means wetland of international importance. If a wetland comes under this convention, it automatically becomes wetland of international importance. Example from this state you can take Koleru Lake. Koleru Lake is Ramsar wetland. It comes under Ramsar convention. So what it means? Koleru Lake is a wetland of international importance. There is something unique with this lake. Many migratory birds come here. It is home of migratory birds. So that is why it is wetland of international importance. Write down. Example, Koleru Lake. Example, Koleru Lake is a Ramsar wetland and wetland of international importance and wetland of international importance. Next point. India signed this convention. India signed this convention in 1982. India signed this convention in 1982 and declared two Ramsar wetlands. Chilika Lake in Orissa and Kevla Dev National Park in Rajasthan. These were the first two Ramsar wetlands of India. When India signed the convention, these were the first two Ramsar wetlands India declared in 1982. Chilika Lake, Orissa and Kevla Dev National Park, Rajasthan. Now, how many Ramsar wetlands India has? Sorry? Not 85, no. 89. Recently, 4 more were declared. Okay. At present, India has 89 Ramsar wetlands. At present, India has 89 Ramsar wetlands. Next. See, later we will discuss some of the Ramsar wetlands, some of the important Ramsar wetlands. We will see that in the map. So do remind me that we have to discuss some of the important Ramsar wetlands when all your discussion is done. Not all of them, but some of them we can see. Write down here itself in the same topic. Write down Montreux's record. Montreux's record is part of this convention. Is part of this convention. Is part of this convention. In this record, those wetlands, those wetlands are kept. In this record, those wetlands are kept which have faced degradation, which have faced degradation and special efforts and special efforts needs to be taken and special efforts needs to be taken for their conservation, for their conservation. Okay, so you have written name of a record, Montreux's record. Montreux's record is part of this convention only. Wetlands where some degradation has happened, they are kept under this record. So that means if a wetland comes under this record, it is not a good thing. It means something bad has happened there. And you need to give special attention to conserve the wetland. So at present, there are 2 wetlands from India which comes under this record. That means it's not a good sign for them. Which of the 2 wetlands comes under this? Kebladev National Park and write down. At present, 2 wetlands from India are part of this record. Write their names. Write down. Next point. Its COP happens once in 3 years. Its COP happens once in 3 years. Next convention. Write the name of next convention. Basel Convention. Basel Convention. It came into force. It came into force in 1992. In 1992. Objective is to control transboundary. Objective is to control transboundary movement of hazardous waste. Transboundary movement of hazardous waste. Full stop. Next. Hazardous waste is that category. Hazardous waste is that category of waste which is harmful for environment, and human health. Harmful for environment and human health. Harmful for environment and human health. And they should be managed, and they should be managed at the place of origin. They should be managed at the place of origin. What you have written, objective, what is the objective of this convention? To stop transboundary movement. What is transboundary? Transboundary means international movement. That the waste should not cross the international border. No transboundary movement. If a country is generating waste, they should manage the waste. They should not throw their waste in some other country. It happens. Especially developed countries, they deliberately throw their waste in some other countries. There are various ways to do this. So transboundary movement is not allowed. If you are producing waste, you should manage the waste. No transboundary movement. One point you have written that the waste should be managed in the place of origin. Where waste is generated, that country should manage. You have written this point? Okay. Next, it prohibits not in my backyard, not in my backyard. It prohibits not in my backyard syndrome. It prohibits not in my backyard syndrome. Not in my backyard, what it means? Not in my backyard is a mindset. Is a human tendency. Waste is producing in your home, you will not throw it in your backyard. Not in my backyard. You will throw it somewhere else. You will throw in somewhere else home, or not in your backyard. So this is a human tendency. I am producing waste, I will not throw it in my backyard, but I will throw it somewhere else. So this is the tendency of country also. If they are producing waste, that they will not dump it in their area. They will dump it in some other country. There are many ways to do this. So it prohibits not in my backyard syndrome, that this mindset will not work. And not in my backyard syndrome and practice of toxic colonialism. And practice of toxic colonialism. Now, what is toxic colonialism? Toxic colonialism is a modern day practice. How? Countries deliberately dump their waste somewhere else to pollute the environment of some other country. There are many ways to do this. Many hidden ways, many secret ways to do this. It's a very dangerous practice. For example, let's say there is a big corporate. Big corporate, they donate their laptops to a school in a poor country. That we are donating laptops to your students. The consignment reaches the school. And when they open it, they see that 90% of those laptops are waste. They are not even starting. So what they have done, on the name of donation, they have dumped their electronic waste in some other country, and nothing you can do, because now you don't have money to send it back. That country is already poor. So there are many secret ways to do this, many hidden ways to do this. Dump your waste somewhere else by hiding it. This practice is called toxic colonialism. It is a very dangerous practice for environment, and it happens at international level. So this convention says that toxic colonialism not allowed, not permitted. There are two cases which you should read for your information point of view, not for exam point of view. Read about these cases. They will tell you how dangerous is this practice. Coco case and Khiansi case is about toxic colonialism. They will explain you the dangerous complications with this. Okay. So Basel Convention is about controlling the transboundary movement. Transboundary movement of what? Hazardous waste. Next point. In You fine writing? You comfortable? If you want, I can write the notes for you. Okay. Which category you comes in? 3? PW3? Okay. Applied for the exam? Fill the form. You're applying this year. You're appearing this year. What next year you will be appearing? What is your educational background? BTech. Which branch? Do apply for forest services also. I'll teach you for that. No fees. Don't worry about it. Apply for forest services. Okay. There are students, PW1, PW2, whom I have taught appearing for interview this year. Okay. I'm teaching them for the interview, and they have a cleared high cutoff of prelims. They are appearing for forest services interview. Their interview would be IAS interview. Some of them are appearing for both IAS and IFS. So apply for that. Talk to me after the class. Okay. Yeah. Write down. What is the next point? Write down. In 2019, a amendment was made. Under the convention. Amendment was made under the convention, and plastic and polythene material was included in the category of hazardous waste. Next, international organization Basal Action Network works in coordination. Basal Action Network works in coordination with the countries to implement the ban, to implement the convention. Okay. So you have written name of a NGO. This is a NGO, Basal Action Network. What they do? What you have written? They work together with the countries. They work with the countries for what? For implementing this convention. Okay. Now write down next point. Its COP happens once in 3 years. Its COP happens once in 3 years. So 3 conventions you did. Few are remaining. We'll take a break, then we'll resume from that. Take your seats. We'll resume now. Write down the name of next convention. Write down CMS. Write down its full form. Convention for the Conservation of Migratory Species. Convention for the Conservation of Migratory Species. Next, write down in bullet points. Came into force in 1983. Objective is to conserve migratory species. Objective is to conserve migratory species and and the pathways which they use and the pathways which they use to migrate from one place to another. Full stop. Next point, it covers all the migratory species. It covers all the migratory species of land, water, and air. Okay. So generally, what is the perception? The perception is that migratory birds, that is what we know, that migration happen only in birds, migratory birds. But what you have written, that this convention is for migratory species. And migration can happen anywhere. It can happen in air, it can happen in water, and it can happen in land also. So it is for all the migratory species. It is not for migratory birds. What you have written? Convention for the conservation of migratory species everywhere. Next point. It is also known as Bonn Convention, BONN, Bonn Convention. It is also known as Bonn Convention because its headquarter is situated in Bonn, Germany. So it is also called Bonn Convention. Okay. Write down next point. It divides species into two appendices. It divides species into two appendices. Appendix means list. It divides species into two appendices. Write down. Appendix 1 contains those species. Appendix 1 contains those species to whom global protection is provided. And every country should take the efforts for their conservation. So appendix 1 is that species to protect whom every country should take an effort. Global conservation is given. More degree of protection. Write down. Appendix 2 contains those species to whom to conserve whom, comma, agreement can be made between two or more countries. Full stop. Global conservation is not provided. to them. Global conservation is not provided to them. Read both the appendices, what you have written. Okay. So understood the difference between two appendices? Appendix 1 will have more protection. Now why this convention is needed? Let's understand this with an example. Example from our country only. Write down. Amur falcon. Amur falcon is a migratory bird. Is a migratory bird. And every year they migrate, and every year they migrate from Mongolia. Every year they migrate from Mongolia to South Africa. Every year they migrate from Mongolia to South Africa and back. And back. Okay. See, this is the distance they cover. They start from Mongolia and they go to South Africa. This is the route of their migration. A very long distance this bird travels. So when this bird is migrating, it takes a break in its journey. It takes a halt. It takes a break in this state of India, Nagaland. So their major population stays in Nagaland for some time. They take a break, then they continue. Both time, when they are moving from Mongolia to Africa, when they are moving from Africa to Mongolia, Nagaland is their midpoint or place where they take a break. But what happens with them in Nagaland? They are hunted. So you can see this person on the both side of the bamboo pole, Amur falcon is tied. They are Amur falcons and they are live. He has not killed them yet. They are live. What this person will do, this person will go door to door and sell the Amur falcons. And then they are killed and considered as a food delicacy there. So you can see mass hunting is happening. But how to control mass hunting? There is a problem. Amur falcon is a migratory bird. It is not bird of India. So that means Amur falcon does not come under Wildlife Protection Act. You have written about Wildlife Protection Act. But Indian species would be part of the act, not a foreign species. This is a foreign species. So how to control illegal hunting? It is not even given in the act. So mass hunting of Amur falcons happens in Nagaland. So when this news became viral on social media and images like this became viral on social media, then government took a serious notice of it, that we have to control the mass hunting which is happening. So what they did, they included Amur falcon in Schedule 1. Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Today you have written about the schedules. What is Schedule 1? Maximum protection. Anyone who is doing hunting of Schedule 1 will have maximum punishment. So now Amur falcon are Schedule 1 species of Indian Act. So no more mass hunting. It has completely stopped. No more mass hunting takes place. Nagaland, in fact, has become a safe place for Amur falcons. They come in large numbers, they migrate. No mass hunting. Mass hunting has completely stopped. So now you can understand why it is important to have CMS, so that we can conserve the migratory species. Otherwise, migratory species would be killed like this. Write down. Amur Falcon. You have written the migration. What you have written? Mongolia. Okay. Write down. During their migration, they take a break. They take a break in the state of Nagaland. In the state of Nagaland, India. Full stop. To control the mass hunting, of Amur falcons, they are included in Schedule 1. They are included in Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act. Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, which gives them maximum protection. And as a result, Nagaland has become a safe place. Nagaland has become a safe place for Amur falcon. Nagaland has become a safe place for Amur falcon. Full stop. Next point. Its COP happens once in 3 years. Its COP happens once in 3 years. So this was about CMS, Convention on Migratory Species. Now write down next convention. CBD 1992. CBD, Convention on Biodiversity. Convention on Biodiversity. Write down. Objective is to conserve. Objective is to conserve different species. Objective is to conserve different species and their natural home. Full stop. Next point. It was signed during Earth Summit. It was signed during Earth Summit 1992 and came into force in 1993. Full stop. So what is the objective? It's in the name itself, conservation of biodiversity. You have read about Earth Summit. 5 agreements were there in Earth Summit. This was one of them. It was signed during Earth Summit. Next point. It contains 2 protocols. It contains 2 protocols. Nagoya Protocol and Cartagena Protocol. It contains 2 protocols, Nagoya Protocol and Cartagena Protocol. So 2 protocols are part of this, and we will discuss them one by one. Because we are discussing CBD, so we should also discuss the protocols which are part of it. So first write down Nagoya Protocol. Nagoya Protocol. It came into force. It came into force in 2014. In 2014. Objective is to establish a benefit sharing mechanism. Objective is to establish a benefit sharing mechanism arising due to utilization of natural resources. Full stop. Okay. So you have written that this is about benefit sharing. Now what it means? So let's understand with this with a detail so that you can understand the objective. Suppose there are two countries. Country A and country B. There are two countries. Country B wants to utilize resources. Country B wants to utilize resources of country A, maybe for commercial purpose, maybe for research purpose. Country B wants to utilize resources of country A, but it is not free. In return, country B has to give certain benefits to country A. Because if you are utilizing resources of some other country, it is not free. In return, you have to give something. Otherwise, what will happen? Big countries will exploit the resources of small countries. So if this has to happen, there should be a agreement between both the countries. Agreement should be done before doing this. Now this agreement, what it should talk about? It should talk about what resource country B wants to utilize, up to what time they want to utilize, what is the purpose, why they want to utilize the resource, what is the purpose of them using their resource, and then what benefits they will give in return, because it is not free. Country B is utilizing resource of country A, so in return they have to give something. So first the agreement needs to be done. Both countries should agree on these details. And if both the countries agree that okay, they have done an agreement, they are agreeing to the terms. So the detail of the agreement, all the details will go into an international database. This international database is in headquarter of which convention you are reading? CBD. Headquarter of the CBD. So all the details of the agreement will go to international database kept in headquarter of CBD. Where is headquarter of CBD? It's in Montreal, Canada. So the details of this agreement will go there. It would be included in this database. After this, CBD will issue a permit to this country. And only after getting the permit, they can use the resources. This is their permission to use the resources. Now, if you see the whole mechanism, what this mechanism is? This mechanism is check and balance mechanism. So that one country do not exploit the resources of another country. You should have a mechanism first. Otherwise, what will happen? Rich and powerful countries will use the resources of small countries and they will not even give back something in return. So you should have a mechanism that if one country wants to utilize resources of another country, they should give something in return. That is the objective of Nagoya Protocol. Now read the objective that you have written, you will understand that. Objective is to establish a benefit sharing mechanism. So it is a benefit sharing mechanism. Arising due to what? Arising due to utilization of natural resources. Now it is clear to you? Copy this. Sorry? It is enforced by United Nations because CBD comes under United Nations. CBD also is an organization, they will enforce it. But because CBD comes under UN, so that thing can also be done by the UN also. See, it's a protocol. Countries, if they have signed it, they have to follow it. Protocols are legally binding. Which country they are forcing? But they are not natural resources. Those are resources related which they will be using in war against Russia. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, but that will not be part of this. They are mostly related to your forest-based resources. Those minerals will not be part of it. Okay. Is in this agreement. Mostly forest-based resources. Plants, medicinal plants, their knowledge. Okay. Natural resources, we'll say. Write down. If one country wants to utilize, if one country wants to utilize the natural resources, of the other country, then there should be a agreement. Then there should be an agreement between them. Then there should be an agreement between them. Full stop. This agreement should contain details, of purpose of resource utilization, and what benefits would be provided, in return. what benefits would be provided in return. Full stop. The details of this agreement, will go into a international database, kept at headquarters of CBD. Full stop. After that, a permit would be issued. To the utilizing country. After that, a permit would be issued to utilizing country. And only after getting the permit, they can utilize the resources. Full stop. Next, it is a check and balance mechanism. To control exploitation of the resources. Full stop. Okay. Clear till this point? What is Nagoya Protocol? It comes under CBD. Write down next protocol, Cartagena Protocol. It came into force in 2003. Its objective is to protect human health and environment from the threat of living modified organisms. In bracket, write down LMO. Read the objective again, what you have written, objective. Objective is to protect human health and environment. From what? From LMO, living modified organisms. Now what is a LMO? See, LMO are man-made species. They are not natural. They are created in labs. So when you do genetic modification in a living being, it becomes LMO. Whenever you alter genetic composition of a living being, it becomes a LMO, living modified. You have done the modification, modified organism. So altogether a new species. Now look at this image. The colorful fish that you see there is glowfish. Glowfish, we keep this fish in aquariums. See, glowfish do not exist in nature. It is a man-made species. We have created this species in a lab. How? We have taken genetic composition of zebrafish for size. We have taken genetic composition of corals for color, mix them, and altogether a new species was created. So this is a man-made species which we keep in aquariums. So glowfish is a LMO, living modified organism. Now why this glowfish is dangerous? See, if you are keeping this in aquarium, till that point it is fine. Closed structure, aquarium, no problem. But suppose this glowfish becomes part of the nature. It escapes in nature. It becomes part of the natural world. So what this glowfish can do? You don't know. You don't know how it will behave. It can become a cause of allergy or diseases for you because you don't know how it will behave. It can cause allergies and diseases to you. Second, it can become dangerous to natural species. It can start causing damage to natural species. So this LMO can be dangerous for you and can be dangerous for nature as well. So it is better to have a protection from them. That is why you have Cartagena protocol. What is the objective of Cartagena protocol? What you have written? To protect human health and nature. From what? LMO. This is the LMO. Write down. Next point. LMO are the organisms. LMO are the organisms created whenever genetic changes in a living being is made. Genetic changes in the living being is made. Full stop. They are man-made species. They are man-made species. If they become part of natural world, comma, they can become a cause. For disease and allergies, and also they can cause damage, to natural species. Full stop. Example, glowfish. Which is kept in aquariums. Is a LMO. Okay. Next point. Countries which sign Cartagena protocol has to declare biosafety clearinghouse, BCH, biosafety clearinghouse in their respective regions. Full stop. This BCH would be responsible. For management decisions. This BCH would be responsible for management decisions related to for management decisions related to LMO. Management decisions related to LMO. Okay. This is the point that you should understand, that the country who signs Cartagena Protocol, what that country has to do, they have to declare biosafety clearinghouse, that this is the BCH of our country. It is mandatory. Whoever signs it have to declare biosafety clearinghouse. So India has signed it. India has signed Cartagena Protocol. So what is India's BCH? What is India's biosafety clearinghouse? India's biosafety clearinghouse is GEAC. Today we discussed about GEAC. Okay. So this is our biosafety clearinghouse. What is the objective of biosafety clearinghouse? What you have written? Responsible for all the decisions related to LMO. So this is the organization in our country which will take decisions related to LMO. Every country has their own. This is India's. Write down. Next. GEAC. What is the full form? Okay. Write down. GEAC is the biosafety clearinghouse. GEAC is the biosafety clearinghouse of India. Is the biosafety clearinghouse of India under Cartagena Protocol. Under Cartagena Protocol. Full stop. Now understand how Cartagena works. Individual in our country, in India, there's an individual in our country, and this individual is doing research, scientific experiments on what? On LMO. So there are LMOs in the lab on which he is doing some experiments. So till LMO are in his lab, till that point it is fine. If he is following safety procedure, it is fine. He can do experiments in lab. But if the same person wants to transfer his LMO, let's say to other place, to Japan, he wants to transfer. From India, he wants to transfer to Japan for research purpose, for study purpose. He's transferring his LMO. So there would be a problem, because during this transfer, due to man-made error, due to an accident, his LMO can escape in nature. His LMO can become part of the nature. So this transport is dangerous. It would not be allowed. If this person is keeping LMO in his lab, till that point it is fine. But this person wants to transfer LMO to somewhere else. So there can be a problem then. Because LMO can escape due to accident, due to leakage, due to man-made error. And that LMO can become part of the nature. And then it will create a problem. So this transport is not allowed. So what this person has to do, this person has to take permission. For this person has to take permission from BCH. Now this person is in India. From where he will take the permission? What is India's BCH? So he will take permission from GEAC that I want to transfer my LMO to Japan. So GEAC, what they will do? They will audit his application. They will do complete scrutiny of his application. They have a detailed procedure. They will see how much safe is this transfer, how much safe is his LMO, or what are the safety procedures. So if GEAC is satisfied, they will give the approval. You can transfer your LMO to Japan with these conditions. So they will do audit, and if they are satisfied, they will give the permission. Now what this person has to do again, he will to take permission from the country where he is sending, because he is sending LMO to Japan, so he should get permission from them also. So he will ask the permission from BCH of Japan, whatever their BCH is. And only after they give the permission, then only he can transfer. So to transfer LMO, he need to get permission from both the countries. Otherwise, it is a crime. Okay. If that person transfers LMO without taking permission, it would be dealt as an international crime, and there would be some serious punishment for this person, because it is a protocol, and protocols are legally binding. Are you clear on this? Safe transfer of LMO, that is what it ensures. Write down. If a person wants to transfer LMO to other country, then he should obtain permissions from the BCH of both the countries. Then only he can transfer the LMOs. Full stop. This mechanism ensures that strict guidelines are followed. This mechanism ensures that strict guidelines are followed during the transfer of LMO. Full stop. Are you clear on this? Understood what is Nagoya Protocol, what is Cartagena Protocol? They both are part of which convention? CBT. Write the next point. COP of CBT happens once in 2 years. Write down the next. Stockholm Convention. Write down. It came into force in 2004. Objective is to completely eliminate persistent organic pollutants. Like aldrin. It is a chemical, aldrin. So you have written the objective. The objective is to completely eliminate POP, persistent organic pollutant. But what is a POP? So break down this word. Persistent, which can stay for a long time. Organic, which has carbon. Pollutant, which is dangerous for you. Combine all three. A pollutant which has carbon and can stay in environment for a long time and is dangerous for you. That chemical is called POP. Example, aldrin. Right now, POPs are those chemicals. POPs are those chemicals which are made up of carbon, comma, can stay in environment for a long time and is extremely harmful for human health. Extremely harmful for human health. Full stop. Next point. Once POP is released, comma, they can become part of the food chain. They can become part of the food chain and can enter human body Full stop. Next point. They can cause damage to respiratory system. Comma, circulatory system, and can become a cause of cancer. Okay. So what you have written, POP can remain in environment for a long time. Once you release this chemical, it will remain in environment. It can become part of the food chain, the food that you are consuming. So this chemical can enter your body. Ideally, chemicals like this should not be present in your body. But if they enter your body, they will cause some serious health damage to you. They can damage your respiratory system, circulatory system, nervous system, and they can even become a cause of cancer. So that is why we should not use them. What is the objective you have written? Completely eliminate. Don't use POP. Completely ban them because they are extremely dangerous for your health. Don't produce them, don't use them. Completely eliminate. You have already studied a topic related to this, biomagnification. If you can recall, in the very first class, we did biomagnification, increase in concentration of chemicals in living beings. Write down, revise biomagnification. This is what you have to do, revise biomagnification. Next, goal of convention is POP free world. POP free world. Full stop. Next point. Dirty dozen is the list of 12 dangerous POP 12 dangerous POP which are banned 12 dangerous POP which are banned under Stockholm Convention. So what is dirty dozen? These are 12 dangerous POP. If comes in MCQ, now you know the answer. What is dirty dozen? 12 dangerous POPs. Okay. Write down an assignment that you have to read. Write down. Read about endosulfan tragedy, endosulfan tragedy in India. Endosulfan tragedy in India. So this was a disaster that has happened. Endosulfan is a POP, a dangerous chemical. So it has caused a tragedy, a disaster in India. Read about it, where it happened, why it happened, and what was the consequences. Okay, it is not that old. Consequences are still there. The people are still suffering because of this. Right on. Next point. Its COP happens. Its COP happens once in 3 years. Its COP happens once in 3 years. Clear till this point? Okay. So revise your theory portion till this point. From here, some of the conventions are remaining. We'll do that tomorrow.